Welcome in. In this video, we are talking about one of the greatest pieces ever written for the piano, Chopin's First Ballade. Wow, that was fast. If you've never heard this piece before, I'm just warning you right now, be prepared to be amazed. So what we're going to be doing is listening and talking our way through the piece. And as we go along, I'll show you some cool things to watch out for, teach you some stuff about chords, about what makes this piece so difficult, what makes it so popular. And if you're a pianist, you'll have some good ideas of musical things to try out if you want to play Chopin's First Ballade. But really, if you want to play any piece of music, some ideas you could transfer from this into your own playing. If you're not a musician, you can kind of view this as just a listener's guide. Like next time you listen to Chopin's First Ballade, here are a bunch of things that you might not even notice are there. Brilliant things that Chopin does that you can listen for. And with that, I got my computer right here and we are ready to listen to Chopin's Ballade in G minor. Already there's a problem. It started on C. This is literally Chopin's Ballade in G minor. He writes two flats in the key signature, B flat and E flat. We're in the key of G minor or B flat here, and he just starts it on C. But that, not the worst of our problems. Look at this first measure. In the first measure, we're going to get a C, some E flats, then some A flats. Like we're in the key of G minor. We haven't even played a normal A yet. We should have normal A's, but we start with A flats. So right now, if I said we're in this key, you wouldn't believe me. All we've heard so far is an A flat 2 chord. So what's going on here? How did Chopin start Ballade in G minor on an A flat chord? If this is actually not too crazy of a chord, and I'll show you why. I want you to imagine you have a box, and this box is labeled normal chords. And in the normal chords box, you're going to find like 95 to 99% of the chords that are used in your pieces. Like they're going to be the 1 chord. If you're in the key of C, the C is the 1 chord. The 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. But over here, you have the special chord box. And this special chord box is only going to make up 1 to 5% of your piece, but it's full of chords that maybe don't belong. That's what we have going on here. But the thing is, this chord, this A flat chord, even though it's in the special chord box, it's one of the more common of the special chords. I often tell my students to think of it as like a common weird chord. Like, yeah, it doesn't belong, but it's actually not that weird. It's called the Neapolitan. The Neapolitan means you go to your second note of the scale in the key of G, that's A, and you flat it. So A flat, literally the closest note to G you can play without actually touching G is A flat. And you make a chord out of that, a major chord. We call it the Neapolitan, flat 2, and that chord's supposed to go to 5. So something like this. Neapolitan. So. But what Chopin does is rather than doing a progression and getting to the Neapolitan, he just goes boom, A flat. We're just starting on the Neapolitan. He just starts out, we're like, oh, we're in the key of G, but we're on C. No, we're on A flat major. I have so much fear that my computer is going to fall off this keyboard during this video, but wish me the best. All right, let's listen to that first theme. Do it again. People interpret the tempo here wildly different. You hear some people who do and like every note's a little more agonizing sad. That's kind of what this is. Donald Betts. It's actually, in case you're wondering, a public domain recording that's free to use, so I'm not stealing anyone's music for making this video. He's like a little more every note. Like great sadness all the time. There's also nothing wrong with people who want to play it a little faster, kind of like a sad waltz, but keep it moving so this first part doesn't take too long. Something along the lines of really the key here is whether you go fast or slow is that you voice, you bring out the melody. You do not do this. That would be bad. That's the thing you want to avoid. So whether you go fast or slow, make sure you have this melody of. Now this part here is really nice. I like this. So basically what he does, there's that awkward page turn for me here, but there he does the same thing twice. On top, he finally changes the melody and jumps to this G. That he's going to do this twice. Once you do, the kind of your listener guide thing in your ear is hear how he does this 2 times, but the second time it's varied. So the first time we just get the chords. And then, let me turn the page, we get the variation in the left hand. And Chopin's obviously a master at this, like accelerating the left hand pattern to make things more exciting. And there is our first hallmark Chopin flourish. And actually, just like the thing I talked about earlier, the secret here is to bring out the melody, not make it loud, but just make sure we can hear it over these chords. Don't fall, computer. But really what we want to do here is think about how there's multiple options. If you want to play this, or you play really any Chopin nocturne, any Chopin beautiful piece that has like these flourishes in the context of a slow piece, just remember to take a breath and have some flexibility. Like this guy here, Donald decided to really take off. He sped up. I know it. That's my that. So he really decided to rush. You could do something very different. You could do this, slow down into it, then start slow. One piece of advice would be though, don't go slow and never not ever speed up. Figure that one out. At some point, you need to kind of let it flow. Just let it go a little bit, because the whole thing is it might just get a tad bit boring, right? So at some point, whether early or late, you probably need a little rush in it. All right, this is the beginning of a big push. All right, let's stop here for a sec. This is awesome. This is awesome. Just simply wanted to note that he does a great job of bringing out this melody here. It's not. The second time he actually shows these little half notes here under where it says agitato. You have this half note, half notes. The melody Chopin's showing you is right there. All right, appreciate some flat out virtuosity here. I'm going to back up a couple seconds. All right, here we go. This stuff right here, we're going to save because this actually comes back later in a much more difficult but also cool ways. We'll talk more about that later. The main thing I want to point out here is that notice how he has all these arpeggios. This crazy, is it here? And he did a great job. I don't know if I did right now, but he did a great job of actually helping you hear the structure in the left hand. These are flourishes, these are runs. And what's easy to do when you first learn them is like play them really loud. And all the attention's up here. Even though that's fast, it's actually not that interesting. It's just a G minor arpeggio up and down. And then you get a F sharp up and down, then back to G up and down, and then F natural up and down. It's not that interesting. What's interesting is you have this. I would make it a little more clear in the left hand. Donald Betts loves the flourishes a lot, so he likes to really take off. I might take off a little less fast just to bring out that left hand rhythm strength a little more, because when you rush, you lose the strength of the rhythm. Not saying what he's doing is wrong. He's more accomplished as a performing musician than I am. But what he's that's just a different take on. I have a little more of a take of the strong rhythm. He has a little more of a take of listening to that crazy flourish going on. But either way, we're both would bring out. So you can hear that in the left hand. Now what happens right here is an amazing transition. I see up here, Chopin says calando, die away. And this is so hard for people because you have all this energy, all this passion rolling into here. And then it dies away to, you get this. This is really brilliant. So we're hanging out on those same notes. And then melody. Oh yeah, I have a recording of someone else doing the hard work for me. So that's a gorgeous melody. This is what I want you to think of as the second main melody. So far, big picture, we had an intro. That main melody that was this. That was the main tune of this piece. The secondary main tune of this piece is this right here, this. And that's going to come back time and time again as well. Just to kind of hit this issue one more time, I just want to make myself clear. When trying to decide what to do with this, you kind of have to balance things. And there can be two right answers. You could choose to make every measure gorgeous, like every single measure, as much expression as you can possibly put into that. Sometimes as you put more into one measure, you might lose the whole a little bit. But just something to consider as yourself as a musician, when you're trying to decide how much time do you want to take for something as simple as this, like that's really pretty, right? I played that like measure and a half like it was everything to me. Like every single one of those notes, like agonizing. I don't want to go to the next one. That one, then this one. Resolved it here. However, in my opinion, sometimes if you do that too much with every single nuance, you might lose the bigger picture of that line, which was this. And that's kind of the bigger picture of those four measures. So one's not right or wrong. Just know when you're interpreting your own pieces, you have so many skill points to spend. If you put all your skill points into like every measure, slowing down so much, each measure could be more beautiful, but you could lose sight of the bigger picture. Let's just appreciate that chord for a second. He's on a B flat in the right hand and a B flat chord in the left hand. Everything's B flat right now. B flat right hand, B flat left hand. We have a B flat up here. Then he just shifts the chord underneath it to C7. So it's B flat on top. It's just hanging out, feeling strong. It's the B flat of a B flat chord, like as normal as you can get. And then Chopin just goes, haha, you're the seventh now. So now it has to resolve. Nice little like circle of fist action going on there. Turns into now this is the wild transition here in a sec. Now listen. We made it back. We made it back to our original, but we're in the wrong key. Like we made it back to our, what I told you to think of as the main theme of the piece, like that thing in G minor, except we're not in G minor. Now we're in A minor. All right, here's the best moment of the piece. Second best maybe. The tie? Oh, isn't that part so cool? Like those giant chords. Like it's completely epic. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but it's actually this melody. The little octave jump there. So delicate before, and now it's like giant, massive chords with this big jump here. So Chopin reuses that thing we heard earlier, that like calm, peaceful. I told you to think of it as the second primary melody. Now it's like this huge, ginormous, massive, intense thing. This part is really hard. It's really hard. If you want to play this piece, this part is still hard for me today. Ugh. I mean, lots of the piece is still hard. It's just a difficult piece, but these, I did not like these scales. All right, let's waltz. More people will come to classical music or concerts where you all sit there and do this without being judged. I know people would judge us and they'd be like, don't come to our concert venue if you're going to act that way. That's what's happening in the middle of this epic story with all this triumph, but also a lot of sadness and struggle. There's this really, really happy waltz. I'm going to try to rewind a few seconds. What's going to happen next? This part is actually really patterned. This scary looking arpeggio is again really patterned. It's not near as bad as it looks. Like this looks like really difficult, this measure. Let me zoom into that guy right there. But it's actually fits the hand really well. Not all Chopin does, but like 80% of the time when you get something really hard in Chopin like that looks, we'll hear it in a second, it's really fast. It normally there's a nice pattern. The fact that he repeated this A right here is a little trick. If you like improv, if you want to improvise some and you're trying to do a really fast arpeggio, repeat the note that you have to move up on. So repeat the A in this case. It gives you a break to move your hand. It's also easier to be accurate there. It's way harder to go. Or what would that be? Or that, because you don't have the breathing in the middle of this, though. You can get to that A, move your thumb up, repeat the A. It's a great idea. I learned this trick from Chopin when I was in high school, and I use it still when I improvise. When I do arpeggios, I try to have 4-note arpeggios or something where I can repeat a note and then restart the next one on a 3-note arpeggio. So it ends up being a 4-note arpeggio, and I'm rambling. Let's go on. Do you recognize this? This is our second theme back again. R. But now it's nice and big and loud and these giant left-hand arpeggios. My computer got in the way. And there is our original right there. There's our original theme back. So the piece isn't over. Don't click off. The best part is literally has not happened yet. The part I told you was the second best part of Tide hasn't happened yet. So don't go away. But I just want to sum up what we've heard so far. We've heard an intro. We heard the melody. Then we had the second melody. that kind of all wound down to this little, and that part finished. We came back around to the main melody, but in the wrong key. In A minor. Everything was in the wrong key. It was wrong, but it was our main melody. We went back to the second melody, but instead of being beautiful, it was loud. Huge, huge, huge second melody. We did the second melody again, but with the big rolly stuff. And then we went back to this loud. Somewhere in the middle of all that, we had the little tiny waltz. I didn't try to play the waltz. It's the something like that. So we so far have done that. Now we're back to the first one. So really big picture, first theme, second theme, restart, first theme, second theme loud, little waltz, second theme again, back to the first theme. So really we've just gone A, B, A, B. So it's just been these two core melodies holding this all together. They just keep coming back in different ways. So here we are again, back at the beginning, and it's not going to end the same way it ended before. Now, if I stopped right there, we would be going to what we heard, the big giant. We'd be heading back to there. But this now is going to take us to the coda, one of probably the most famous codas in Chopin. This is, I mean, there's the fourth Ballade's also super famous coda. But this is absolute epicness. I'm going to play a little bit of it for you first before I start talking. But we're going to get 2 measures of transition and roll right into this coda. It's hard to literally scroll fast enough to keep up with it. I keep scrolling and scrolling. This is awesome. This is a thing when you first want to play this piece, you typically fall in love with this coda. This is the part I told you might lose your mind if you've never heard this piece before. It is so cool. So a few details here. Leading into the coda, we get as loud as possible. There are people out there who say, oh, with Chopin, never play a loud note. Never play. Loud notes are ugly. Everything is pretty. I don't buy into that. Now, I think in general, yes, you should not pound your way through this piece. Do not play this piece. And even that loud part earlier, you shouldn't go and every note be loud. Of course, balance, like be musical. Don't hardly ever play as loud as you can. Even here, I would not literally play as strong as you possibly can. You might break your instrument. But this is loud stuff. It's already said appassionato, which means passionately. And then we're going to have forte as possible, and then we're going to burn into this last section here, and the coda starts right here, and it says fast, presto, fast with fire, and this is brilliant stuff. I'm going to point out some cool stuff, then we're going to listen for it, and you're going to try to hear it. This is kind of hard to hear, but there's some really cool stuff here. So what we have is this chord up on top, which if you're trying to learn this, it's a G minor chord. It's not as scary as it seems. It's really fast, but the notes aren't that bad. You have G minor with one note wrong by a half step there. G minor, wrong by a half step there. G minor, every time it's a half step off. You're a half step wrong. Except that was actually right. So then this sounds like chaos. The cool thing is we have these chords on top. But what's going on is we get this inner voice. That's kind of what we can focus on. So I really want to show you those partway through on this measure with the A flat. There's something really cool you can teach yourself to hear. It's not just all, Chopin's not just writing crazy, fast, chaotic notes. Like this is not the same as like me or you trying to show off and just going like, oh, I'm good at piano. I can play fast notes. Like that's just like show off. There's no substance there. There's nothing there to like actually interest your listener. Chopin though does this crazy stuff, crazy arpeggios, and he has stuff going on. So check out this A flat measure. We get this A flat, F sharp, G, A flat, G, F sharp, G. So I'm going to cut some of the extra stuff away here, and what we're left with is this. But then Chopin embeds that in this arpeggio. What's crazy hard to do if you ever want to play this piece is where the melody is shifting. So the melody's on this A flat here, G, F sharp, G. Now it's on the bottom. By the way, if you ever learn this, this is such a breath of fresh air. It's hard, of course, but it's just a chromatic scale. It's like, thank you. After all this, like your arm wants to fall off trying to play this, you just get to go. And while you're doing that, your left hand's doing. It's not that bad. Oh, I don't remember the chord. Let me scroll down here. Oh. And then you're just doing that with the chromatic scale somehow. Wow, that was fast. Yeah, that's a cool ending, isn't it? Just so you know, the last line is pretty easy. The second to last line and third, those scales are so humbling. After you get to the chromatic scale in one hand, which is so easy, trying to play as fast as you can and keep, actually the second one, keep the thirds in sync is super, super humbling. So, but this ending is just one of the best things we have in classical music. It's just, you get to this presto con fuoco with fire and you just go. It's just chaos all the way to the end. You get a couple big chords here, then one last like giant flourish and boom, boom, boom. And the piece deserves it. The piece has been building for like 10 minutes, however long like it is. And it deserves this humongous epic ending right there. Before we go, if you want to hear more of this type of video, like this is the first one I've done of this nature where I just kind of go through a piece of classical music. We listen to it together. We talk about some of the cool stuff, more like game calling with cool stuff going on in the piece and talking about that way. If you like this style, for sure, let me know in the comments and I will be happy to do more of this kind of video. It's kind of an experiment for me. I've never tried a video exactly like this before, so I'd love to hear from you. If it's something that would interest you, I'm happy to do more. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one.